This presentation is based on influential writers of poetry, otherwise known as poets. Most influential poets are known for the actual poem they have written, not by the lives they have lived or who they are as a person. There are so many poets and poems that have influenced the world today that 10 minutes does not do any justice. I have chosen 4 poets to speak about. In this presentation, I will be including the poem that has inspired many today, as well as a biography of the writer. I will also be adding the poem to the slide and giving a description of the meaning to the poem and how it has influential meaning to people and their beliefs and a representation on what they emotionally feel. Though the poems are more influential than the writers themselves, the poets are still influential in their own poetic ways. William Shakespeare was believed to be born on April 23, 1564, in Stratford-on-Avon. The actual date of his birth is unknown. We have only guessed his birth date by the day he was baptized, which was on April 26, 1564. According to poets.org, the authors, Christian Swartz and Chris Soursby, say that while Shakespeare is known to be the greatest dramatist of his time, he and his contemporaries used poetry more so than playwriting for capturing fame. The sonnets Shakespeare published in 1609 were all written in a form of 3 quatrains and a couplet. Today, we recognize this as Shakespearean writing. Almost all of Shakespeare's sonnets, 154 to be exact, represent a range of emotions. They examine the inevitable decay of time, the immortalization of beauty, and love and poetry. The analysis Gray Hess provides of William Shakespeare's Sonnet 44 is very influential even in today's times. Love is a topic that can have endless meanings and different purposes. Based upon his poetic writing of Sonnet 44, the purpose of love, as it is written, is that he loves someone who lives far away and wishes to be at her side as soon as possible. This poem is very influential even in today's times when families are separated by either time or distance, such as the military when a loved one is deployed for several months, or a truck driver whose job is to deliver goods across the country, not seeing the one he or she loves for weeks. This can be applied influentially when 2 people who love each other cannot see the other due to life challenges. This is a fantastic example of a love poem written centuries ago that has an impactful influence in today's times. Born on August 6, 1809, Alfred Tennyson, according to Swartz and Soursby, became one of the most well-loved Victorian poets during his lifespan. At age 12, Tennyson wrote a 6,000-line epic poem. By the age of 41, he had become the most popular poet of the Victorian era. When reading his poetry, Tennyson would use a booming voice, often compared to Dylan Thomas. In 1859, Tennyson sold more than 10,000 copies in one single month of his first published poems called Idylls of the Kings. Later, he accepted a peerage, changing his name to Alfred Lord Tennyson. On the Family Friend Poems website, they provide an example of an influential poem for people who wish they could live on for eternity, or even having the fear of death or growing old. A Farewell by Alfred Tennyson is a perfect example of life and nature. When it comes to living life for an eternity, there is no comparison to the eternal life of nature. This poem, analyzed by Michael Stratford, is a straightforward pastoral piece. It has 16 lines broken up into 4 quatrains, having a steady rhyme scheme. As we all know, nature will forever live longer than man himself. We may eat healthy and exercise in some way, shape, or form, but nature will always be a never-ending cycle of lie that Alfred Lord Tennyson wishes all man could have. According to the Family and Friend Poems website, Mary Frey was from Baltimore, Maryland, and lived from 1905 to 2004. Frey wrote the sonnet, "Do not stand by my grave and weep," on a paper bag to comfort a family friend who had just lost her mother. This influential poem looks at death not in a negative way, but a way where people can look at death differently, to have the comfort knowing that their loved one is no longer hurting or in any pain. This poem is so influential that even today it is read during funerals and public occasions to remind us that death may occur physically, but not spiritually. The influences of this poem gives readers inspiration and comfort to those whom we have lost. It also reminds us that whoever we have lost, they are with us and around us wherever we are. Many different variations of this poem exist because this poem was never copywritten. Born in St. Louis, Missouri on April 4, 1928, Schwartz and Sowersby describe Maya Angelou as an author, poet, historian, songwriter, and much more. She was best known for her autobiographical books, one of which, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, was nominated for the National Book Award. Her poem, Just Give Me a Cool Drink of Water 'Fore I Die, was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize. Among her many accomplishments, in 1974, Maya Angelou was appointed by General Ford to the Bicentennial Commission, and later by Jimmy Carter to the Commission for International Woman of the Year. Angelou also delivered a poem she wrote on the pulse of the morning at President Bill Clinton's inauguration. She received the National Medal of Arts in 2000, as well as the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2010 by President Barack Obama. One of the most influential writers, Maya Angelou, has touched so many lives today. Her poems have always uplifted sad souls and given a sense of accomplishment. Her poem, Still I Rise, an 8-stanza poem, speaks of African Americans who have overcome slavery and dealt with discrimination, segregation, and what else could have been thrown at them. No matter what anyone says or does, they will still stand with their heads held high and move forward and continue to do great things. This poem is so moving to many, no matter their race. Anyone can relate this poem to any life struggles they may face. There are so many poets and poems that inspire us today, many to which fill us with different emotions and can inspire us in so many different ways. I have only just scratched the surface of influential poets and can probably go on for days talking about all the different poets who have inspired us today. However, most poets are influential by what they have written, not how they have lived their lives, and that is inspiring all in itself.